Welcome to Disturb, the American Horror Story podcast on Southgate Media Group. Tonight we are talking about Series 6, Episode 10, the series finale, aptly named Chapter 10. I'm your co-host, Chris Mao. Along with me today is...
Rob Southgate. That was the longest intro ever, man.
And the worst, too, probably. So,
it's terrible.
Awful.
I like how aptly named, and it's 10 and Chapter 10 and...
Yeah,
10.
It's a lot of 10s.
Yeah. So, you know what? I'm not going to say it was a lot of 10s, but it might have been about an 8.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I think you and I talked a little bit about it where there were a lot of really, really good things and then a lot of not so good things. But, you know, it was what it was, and I think they wrapped up some stuff in a unique way, and I thought it was okay. So
I did, too. I just think that technically they probably did the best they possibly could. They took a risk with this ending. They tried something really different. And the places where it fell a little flat, I don't know what they could have done differently. So I'm going to say, I mean, they did a great job with it.
I think, you know, it was
the stuff
hard.
That was good was excellent.
Right. And I would agree with that. I just think it's, you know, they kind of jumped around a lot this series with different kind of styles and different themes, and which I thought was very unique. And then they tried to do that with three different like themes in the finale, which I think was confusing because they didn't get enough to spend. They didn't get to spend enough time on each of them.
Yes.
But with what they were the story they were going to tell, they had to put something in there. And so I think it was kind of cool how they did it.
I do think it was cool. And I think the return of Lana Winters was really great.
Yes.
I thought that the stuff they were laying in there, like when they said they called out Lana about bloody face and everything, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And I have a feeling that was a clue. I think Lana Winters, or at least part of that story, is what's going to be back in either the next season or the following season.
Sure.
You know, it just kind of makes sense that that's where they're going, that they were reminding the audience of that. First thing we saw, I loved when they were at Paley Fest.
Yeah.
And all the people
great?
are out there. They had their piggy masks on, and they're all cheering, and the whole cast comes out there, and I'm like, this is really unique. And at first I thought, are they going to show that we were punked through the whole thing?
Yes.
But no, this was just before they went back for the second one.
Right.
And I love how Cricket made the appearance. Yeah. That was fantastic.
Cricket's there, oh, how about me? And then, of course, Agnes goes, I'd love to be in the second series because I thought you did such a great job, and I don't think we explored the Butcher. And
yeah, well, and the way she played that, she was so off-kilter. And I love how the whole audience, well, not the audience, the cast was a little creeped out by her. It was very subtle. It wasn't like super obvious. So if you had watched that before knowing what happens, you would think that maybe there's a little something awkward about her, but you would have no idea, you know, what we were leading to. So I thought that was really well done. And I just loved that it was a Paley Fest. I loved all the crowd with the pig heads. That was one of my favorite things. I just thought it was great.
It was like every stereotypical thing that you see at one of those panels happened. It was like, can I get a hug? And then, you know, run down, get a hug. And then the other guy's like, well, what about me? You know, Cuba Gooding Jr., what about me?
Yeah. Did you notice that with the actors?
Yeah.
They kept doing it. Each one of them. Cuba Gooding Jr. did it. Audrey did it, where she's like, well, but my Saturn Award, and what about me? I was like, wow. It just fit with the character so well.
Yeah. And then, I made you something, and like did the bad hand-painted, you know, hand sketch drawing of her and her daughter, and I'm sorry,
Flora.
Flora, like, I practiced, and it's like, thank you, you know, Lee, you're going to do this. And then they go into the Cracked, which was fantastic.
Cracked was great. Yeah,
it's just like, oh my gosh, that was great.
That was great. And then the woman that drew that, how they showed the series of like YouTube videos, that was also really clever. I mean that they could have easily shown two guys podcasting about the show, just like this, you know? I mean, they easily could have done that. They were doing that same kind of thing. I thought that was great.
Well, if you look, like the first one, she's all happy. the first YouTube she did, you know, and then like as you see as they go, you can see she's getting more angry and more angry. If you go back and look at it, because I went back and looked at it.
No, I caught that too.
And I was like, oh yeah, she's just getting pissed and disenchanted. And then at the end, she's still like, why would you go back, Lee? It's like not even being like, you killed all these people potentially. She's just like, Lee, why did you go back and ruin it for us or something? It's like, oh, how delusional can you be? So
yeah. I like when they were doing the trial. This was also a shocker to me. I didn't expect it to go this way. The trial stuff, the crack stuff. They had the guy who reminded me of the guy from. Did you ever see Kurt and Courtney, the investigator that they have that Courtney Love hired? And during the documentary, he comes to the realization that he thinks Courtney might have been involved. Not that she was, you know, right. They never resolve any of that. But he comes to that revelation. And throughout this, when they were showing the detective, I kept thinking of him where he's like, hey, this is pretty obvious to me what's going on. And he was giving his side of the evidence, but it was weak. It was weak evidence. Even though to us, we watched it unfold and we're thinking we know exactly what happened. It started putting that seed of doubt, you know, even after everything we've witnessed. So I thought that was done well. And the defense was that it was the magic pot that made her do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, and that was believable because when the guy says, man, there was some crazy stuff going on. I mean, how could you not look at that and think that there was something weird going on? Let alone that she did it, but the duress she was under, any good defense lawyer would have her off of that in a second.
Well, and then when they showed the clips of her with those guys and you saw him, you know, snorting whatever and doing whatever, it made you look at her and go, what if that is right? What if when she confessed to killing Mason, it was, we had said before, it could have been some way of getting out of the situation, but what if it was also she was out of her gourd from these drugs? Now, going forward, all that's gone. I
don't even know about that. I think she was possessed. I mean, I think the stuff going forward was a possession thing.
But she also seemed to be aware of it because she said to Flora when they were in the house, I had to do this. I had to do this.
Right.
And the way she said it, I didn't think it was possessed. I thought it was she saw no way out, and the opportunity was perfect for her to make a move like this. I don't know. The whole thing was nuts. But when you watch that video of her cracking him over the head with the rock, it does look like possession.
Yeah. It does. There's a lot to it. And I think when you look at it in its totality, not being involved in the watching of the show, you could easily believe that it isn't, sorry, I know I'm kind of off on this too.
That's all right.
You know, that she's not nuts and that she's just, you know, it's self-defense and things like that. And, you know, then you get to the possession part and there's a lot of weird stuff going on there. So I don't think she's a bad person.
Wait, Lee?
I don't think she was necessarily bad, but I think she was overwhelmed by what was going on. I think you could believe that.
Yeah, like you're not going to think that in her heart she was planning to kill. It's the circumstances. It's everything that happened that drove her to do this to Mason. But at the same time, you go, you know what? She did have a history and she had issues. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions. And I think this was one of the best things they did this season is the Lee storyline, how they played it out. Because we did predict that Lee would be the one to survive, but I did feel like I was getting some surprises throughout.
Yeah, and then the way they kind of ended it where, you know, we have talked about this on previous podcasts. We haven't seen Flora in a while.
Right.
And obviously she shows up at the end and she's just like, I want to be where I feel safe with all this stuff that's messed up. And the only place she feels safe is with Priscilla. Right. You know, and then she has the awareness. She goes, well, I can be with Priscilla if I'm like her.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, that was weird. And the fact that she went back to the house, that she was like just hanging out there and Lee is trying to talk to her. When she said that, you're like, oh my gosh. So obviously this kid, I mean, she said she survived fine out there. She was happy with Priscilla. So this kid I mean, this is way more than she found this something attractive about this. She either has some kind of mental issues or she's part of the possession too. I think that it's like a drug when they get out there.
Oh, sure.
I think that's what happened to her and happened to Lee and happened to everybody, really. Look at what happened to Matt. I mean, maybe it's just that environment is like a drug. And when they were writing this, they kept saying, let's go back to that. Let's make them react in certain ways because they are drugged by the environment. Maybe that's why the pot was magic for those folks.
That's right. You never know.
You know?
Oh, well, maybe that's a good point. And, you know, they were, maybe it was just that whole family was susceptible to that.
Yeah, I still wonder about that. They never explained that, but I still wonder if Matt's bloodline is somehow tied in. They did not explain that. That was an interesting thing, too. They left the whole witch thing kind of away.
Right.
You know, and they did that throughout the season. We saw the witch kind of at the peripheral of things. Having the witch in the last episode, not this one, but in 9, feed her the heart. And then I thought there would be something more here, and there wasn't.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, especially since she's eating the heart, you would think that Lee is automatically kind of not exempt, but she's already part of that group. You know what I mean? Part of that deal with the house.
Right.
So then why would she have to kill herself?
Because she wasn't dead yet.
Right, but she, like, you know, the butcher still was doing all these evil deeds and then, you know, was still kind of in control of what was going on. So, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be interesting to see what happens forward if they ever revisit it.
Yeah.
To see what happens with Lee.
You know what? I think, Chris, that there was stuff happening here that will come back. I think that unlike prior seasons where they wrapped it up, they left things kind of floating out there, but they wrapped it up generally. Here, I kind of felt like ultimately at the end, they were doing some setup. They have another story to tell. Sure. Not about the Roanoke's. We'll probably see them come back in some form for some reason, but about Lee's daughter, about what was going on out there with some of these characters. I really do think that we're not done with this. I don't think we're going to get a return to Roanoke, but I think we just had that. But I think we will get something more out of this story. Maybe it's stuff that'll be laced in future seasons that will flesh that story out a little bit further. So we saw Flora, she was in court and testified about Lee hitting Mason with the rock. I was surprised by that. And it seemed like she was a little possessed through that, but she did see it. It did happen. And was it
what somebody wanted her to see?
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw it. We saw it. Whether we weren't seeing a reenactment of that. We were seeing the actual Lee crush him with the rock. Right.
Well, but that's what maybe we were seeing what she thought she saw. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I also wonder if some of what she was saying. Now, Lee did admit that she hit him with the rock, so that was all real. But I wonder if Flora's motivation there was a way to drive them back to that house, because that's all she wanted. She wanted to go back to that house during the blood moon to be with Priscilla.
Right.
How about when they gave the not guilty? Were you expecting that?
I could see how it would go that way. I mean, I think there was, like I said, I felt sympathetic to what she did. And, you know, like, especially when you've gone and tried her for all these other murders and didn't get it. And then you go back to pick up on the one. Well, whenever a lawyer says, we know we got this locked.
Yeah, you know it wasn't
happening.
It was like watching Making a Murderer. Do you ever watch Making a Murderer?
Yes.
Yeah, where it's like it seems so tight. No question. And then things change. Now, ultimately, you know, I don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't seen that show, it's really great. But there were a lot of similarities to how this played out. Not in the ultimate ruling, but in how you were surprised by the way this is obviously, she's admitting it, this is going on, and then something happens that makes it go, well, maybe she's not going to get convicted, or maybe she is. I thought that was done really well. Lana Winters was next, and to me, this was This was just the best. Having her back as Lana Winters, having her the way she turned it, it was similar to I can't think of his name, the director. When the director did that to the Butcher, where she has her in there and then she's like, she turned the table on her. She goes,
right.
yeah, and she's like, what happened to Flora? She's missing right now. Like that whole thing, it was like, whoa.
Well, but
and then the Polk comes in.
Right. But that was the turn on the turn. I mean, because, you know, Lana starts interviewing her thinking, oh, we're going to make it this love-happy interview. And then, you know, she goes, well, Lee, you're really psycho. You know, why did you do this?
It was exactly what that director did to her.
Lee turned it back on her. It's like, well, what about your bloody? She goes, I went with you because, you know, you're a psycho, crazy-ass bitch like me. Yes. And then Lana Winters was like, oh, my God.
Yeah, like I didn't expect that. And then the Polk comes in, and he gets shot up. He cracks Lana in the head. I mean, the whole thing was crazy. Once again, lots of surprises. Not stuff I was expecting to have happen, although we should have, because we saw him at the beginning sitting in the car talking to the camera with his gun.
Best cocaine. Nice.
Yeah. Best part of that was when he showed up, we found out the brother's name. I didn't know it before this. Jether.
Jether, yeah.
Because she killed Jether. I'm like, Jether.
Yeah.
That is an awesome name. So then the last thing with them is Polks are dead. He's dead now. That's it, right? Isn't that all of them?
I think that's all of them.
All of them that we know of.
Right.
Okay. So now we've had the trial show. We've had the Paley Fest. We've had Lana Winters. Now the fourth show happens. And this is actually what I thought. I thought for the final show, we were going to have one of two shows. One was pretty much what we got from here on out, which I was a little surprised by because we had already had something like that with Sophie Turner or whatever her name was. I don't know her name. Sophie Green or something.
Freak Show.
Yeah, the one. Yeah. No, the previous one. The previous one.
From Hotel?
No. I'm talking about the previous episode when Sophie showed up with her friends and they had the GoPros in there.
Oh, yeah.
That was similar to this Ghost Hunters type show.
Right.
So I was thinking it might go that route, which it did, but I kind of also felt like we'd just seen that. Or I thought it was going to be, I truly going into it thought this is going to flip and it's going to become season 6 of American Horror Story, and we're going to see them tell the story through this show as fictionalized so that it would be like, whoa, and we'd start to see how it all bleeds into all the other stuff, making their older series feel like they were more rooted in something real that happened.
Okay.
It's a very meta idea. That's really where I thought we were going. That's not where we went. We went with Spirit Chasers.
Yeah.
Or as I call it, Bad Choice Reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
Bump. This was so full of bad choices. Holy cow.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, and then, you know, Kathleen and I are watching it, and she loves those shows, loves those
like
ghost shows
and all that.
And all that stuff. And I go, which of these are they ripping off? And she goes, like every single one. You know,
you got the same.
You got the good-looking guy that like looks really pensive. You got kind of the wisecracker sidekick. In this case, it's a girl. And then you got the know-it-all kind of sound guy, kind of tech guy, like, oh, well, you know, unbelievable. And it's all the same, you know.
Yep.
It was great.
It's a setup, the way they do that. And I love that these guys were so oblivious. Now, yeah, granted, they thought it was fake and they're going in to do this thing. Right. But they were so oblivious. When stuff started to go down, it was obviously going down. Their first reaction is, hey, man, we're spirit chasers. We're not running. We're going to do this. And I was like, I forget who said it to him. I think it was Lee. When she showed up, which was also a surprise, and she's like, you get your frat boy asses out of here.
Yeah.
I was like, please listen to her, because you already see what's happening here. Your show, you've never had anything like this. And if you think you're getting a ratings grab, you're well beyond that at this point.
Sure.
You're way out of your depth.
Well, I love it. They go up, and this is a blood stain, and this was where so and so was murdered. You know, and they're like looking at all of it. It's like, you guys are idiots, and you deserve to get chopped.
How about their guest star?
Yeah.
It's exactly who I'd want.
Yeah.
Ashley Gilbert.
We brought cricket back.
It's Ashley Gilbert. And then they go, well, why weren't you in the second one? And I wrote this quote down just because it was so cricket, even though it's the actor.
Yeah.
He goes, Sidney James did not deign to ask me to participate. I loved that so much. It was like we got our cricket back, even though it's not cricket.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to have seen a picture of the real cricket?
Oh, yeah.
Because we saw the real, and now we saw the real flora. We've seen the real pictures of everybody except cricket. It would have been great if he had held up a picture of cricket or said something like, oh, if it was him.
Yeah. Or just, I mean, yeah, it would have been
what
great.
What if at the end we found out that he was actually cricket who was like brought back to play cricket on the show to cause trouble? I mean, there's so many ways you could have gone. We would have been booed right off for that one. Lee in the house, too much. Too much. I loved it. I loved that she showed up. But you're right, Chris. This might be, you said there are things that are terrible. This might be the beginning of the end of the good.
Yeah.
Because him with the bonnet was a little stupid. Lee showing up was fun, but technically, this you know what it turned into? It reminded me, I want to say it was Pet Sematary when, no, I know what it is. You ever see the Twilight Zone movie? Of course you have, right?
Yes.
You remember the scene with the kid who hears everything and controls his family?
Uh-huh.
And at the end, he and I think is it Rita Moreno that's in that? They go into this like basically he dissolves reality, and now it's her and the kid in this like other reality where she's trying to talk him down for things. Uh-huh. Not that that's what happened here. It was when Lee showed up, it brought this like kind of meta out of the story element to it that reminded me. It had the feel of that Twilight Zone. I know that's a kind of a stretch, but it had that feel. The way she talked to them, the way she was almost like, I'm not really in this story, I'm in my own story, because she was. Because the second Flora was there, she was in a different story.
Right.
How about, Chris, I got another one. Go ahead. I got another one, though.
No, go ahead.
When they were doing the heat sensor, when we saw the Chens on the wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was that the best payoff ever?
Oh, yeah. They were great. But the one thing I liked about, you're talking about Lee, and I think you're right about it got a little bit, hanky when she came in. But she was like, who was the professor? He was like the professor when the professor came back to them. Like, this is all happening. So
like Dennis O'Hare.
Dennis O'Hare.
Yeah,
so
when he showed up at the house and was like, you need
Elias
to get out of
Cunningham.
here.
She was like that.
Yes.
I'm a veteran of this. You guys don't know what you're doing. Get out because you're stupid. And she was, she wasn't afraid of it. This didn't faze her. She was tackling it head on, which I kind of like and respected from her. She was like, screw this. So
I do too. It wasn't Lee that I had a problem with. There was a tonal shift or something that made me go, I don't know. It was kind of where things went off the rail for me, even though when I'm looking at my notes, this is where I was really getting lit up in the episode.
Right.
A lot of payoffs. We saw Piggy. We saw the nurses. The Chens were there. The butcher, the police, the Roanoke's, the arrows that got Elias out of nowhere. And it looked like they came from the moon. It was like everything was like, holy cow.
Well, how about the cameraman view where he shows and then he shows them getting stabbed and then he looks down and there's like one in his leg and then thud. I was like, that was great.
It was crazy. I mean, all of that was just crazy. Piggy is the best. Piggy is one of those classic American Horror Story characters. And I love that they've kind of added to the Ghost Rogues gallery because as soon as you saw the nurses, you're like, oh, no. Nobody's getting out of here.
There wasn't a chance. Well, number one, it started getting dark and the police are there. And I'm like, this is just going to be a massacre. It's going to be awesome.
Didn't they even make a comment about that? Like, look at how the light's changing. Because it hadn't become night yet when that happened. Yet in the house it was night, outside it was bright. So these creatures were there causing havoc, but outside the Roanoke's hadn't shown up yet. They didn't show up until the police were there, and it shows it's night, and they said it had been a 14-hour standoff with Lee and Flora. Now, granted, 14 hours, it looked like they were just sitting around upstairs.
Right.
So I would have thought there would have been more action. That might have been a little bit excessive for a 14-hour standoff, or at least had them stuff going on in the house. But instead, they're just like sitting there. Flora's doing something on the floor, making her drawing. Lee is just trying to be reasonable with her. I don't know. That was just where it went a little off for me. Yeah. Lee did admit to killing Mason, even though we knew it. We had seen it. She just kept talking about it as if, like, look, this is why. Once again, making her a more sympathetic character for her reasoning.
Sure.
But she ate that heart. We should have seen repercussions for that here. We should have seen, like, because Flora was tied into Priscilla and these people, we should have had her say, but you're one of them now.
Right.
You know, you are part of it. You were in your right head when you did it. Now you're something else. That would have been a little bit stronger. Maybe that's what it was missing for me. I don't understand why Flora wants to protect Priscilla so much. They were friends in there, but it just.
But think about it. Maybe from Flora's point of view, maybe it was the only time she ever felt safe because of all the stuff.
Oh, because of all the other stuff. Could be.
I mean, when you're in that abusive kind of a relationship, and
maybe I needed a little more crazy from her.
Yeah, I mean, from Lee, maybe she's just like, she goes, I don't think an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old could articulate that, hey, this is the only place I feel safe. That, right. As weird as this is, it's normal for me. So,
yeah. How about when Flora said she wants to burn the house down?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna kill myself and I'm gonna burn this house down. I'm like, oh well. I don't think the house is what the butcher is really after. It's the land.
Right.
It's their place. They can burn the house down all they want. Butcher's still going to be ticked off when people come out there.
Right.
She's still going to be walking around looking for a blood sacrifice. So that wasn't the best solution, but it made a great ending, seeing the house burn. Lee then offers to protect Priscilla. I'll become like her. It'll save you.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked when we saw the Force ghosts of Lee and Priscilla at the end, if
Anakin would have shown up.
Yeah, if Lee if Anakin, young Anakin, that's how they do it.
That's pod racing.
George Lucas. What they should have had instead of Yoda, they would have crickets standing there. They should have had the real crickets standing there as a Force ghost. That would have been awesome. But if
all of them, they should have brought back all of them. Is what they should have brought back.
Yes, like standing there in a thing that would have actually been, definitely Star Wars-ish, but it would have been really cool to see. And what if we had seen there were more? Because all those victims of the nurses should be there.
Right. So, what are they going to be in their wheelchairs?
Dennis O'Hare's character, the real Elias, should have been there.
Right.
They all should have been there. That would have been, in their wheelchairs, their ghost wheelchairs. That would have been awesome.
But
instead we got Flora, we got Lee. Lee didn't have. I would think, because we saw how burned up and awful these ghosts looked. Lee should have had the ripped up gunshot through her chest.
Didn't they show her from the back with the blood stain?
I wanted to see the front tattered. We don't have to have a real graphic shot. We just have to have it so it looks like, forever, that's how she looks. Instead, it looked like Lee was just standing there like, hey, I escaped. I found this kid.
Yeah.
We're going to have Kool-Aid. Peace out, Flora.
I'm going to go do a newsroom. Thank you.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I just found my new daughter, Fauna. See, Flora and Fauna. Okay.
Boom, boom. Hey, folks.
We got to end on something terrible, right? So the ending, they burn the house down. Flora and Lee are standing out there. No, Flora's getting driven away. Lee's standing there. This was great, and once again, I think for some people it may have been dissatisfying, but it really was great. the cops are all there. The house is burning down. We get the shot of the torches coming through the woods,
Right.
and the butcher watching the house burn. And I'm like, she doesn't care if the house burns. No. She's mad that all those people are on the property.
Right. Well, she needs a blood sacrifice, so she just wants to do it. So, and then at the end, they show that big, that high view of the house.
Yes.
Where is there a hill tall enough where you could see a Roanoke with a torch?
Kidding.
I'm like, what's that?
We've seen this property a lot, and we've seen the front shot. She was looking at the front of the house. Where was that?
Right.
I did, another thing that I caught that I thought was cool, when they showed Flora's sweatshirt that was in the window or in the tree. Did you notice when they showed it originally, it was red. When they showed the real picture, it was yellow.
I thought it was yellow the whole time.
I thought it was red originally. I could be completely wrong.
Yes.
Okay, well, we won't go with that. I thought it was red originally, and then when we saw it, because it stuck out to me, I was like, oh, it's yellow. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, who does? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just how different it is. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter anyway, but to me, it was one of those things that I thought it was pretty cool. I'm going to go with in my head, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there were a lot of they threw in a lot of those little good twists at the end. I thought that were kind of neat. So
yeah.
After all this stuff with the Polks, how is there still one running around?
Especially him.
Well, I mean, he survived, and that's cool. But with all the stuff that the police saw, wouldn't they be looking for him and be in jail?
Right. After all that time, how is he just running around out there? You took my kids. You killed my mama.
Besides whatever happened, they still tortured Lee.
Right. No matter what, they captured him. They tortured him. Yes.
They had a bunch of weed. I mean, it's not like, it just they stopped showing up. I don't know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that might have been a little bit of a misstep too. It was a plot device to get him to go in and crack Lana in the head and shoot people up and then get killed there.
So in the timeline, this is obviously current or relatively current,
right?
When was
American Horror Story timeline?
When was Murder House? Was that like in the 80s?
I want to say it's the 90s.
90s? Okay. Is that why? I think they talked about 20 years later. They think they mentioned that when they talked to Lana. So.
Oh, did they?
I thought they said something about that. So, because she is obviously aged from the show.
Yes. I'm looking it up right now. Season 1 take place. See if I can read what I just typed because I got everything wrong. It started in 2011. That doesn't help me. And I got those Magoo glasses going here, so I'm having trouble seeing it. Flashbacks. The season is primarily set in modern day. Okay. Flashbacks to the 20s, 40s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Okay.
Asylum flashes forward to 2012. Coven
was current day too, right?
Yep, modern day with flashbacks to the 60s, 70s, and 1830s. Freak Show takes place in the 40s and flashes forward to the 60s. Hotel is the 20s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and the epilogue is set in 2022. So that's when Liz Taylor is like in charge,
right
at the very end, and then Roanoke in 2016. Most of this took place in 2016. So the first season, it looks like, took place in 2015. My Roanoke Nightmare, or Return to Roanoke, was 2016, and then what we just saw happened after that. So it's still set in current day. All right. Yeah, there's no details yet. Even though people have been posting things. I don't know if you've seen it. People are posting like, they've told what the next season is. No. It's just like with this season. Everything that people guessed was wrong.
Yeah.
Other than Roanoke.
I mean, because we we didn't know what it was going to be. So we took some guesses, and they said, "Oh, we're going to do Roanoke." They can't do the Roanoke thing, and then of course that's what they did. So
yeah, they did, and they did it right. I mean, this was once again lots of surprises. It was really cool. Yeah. Okay, next season, 7th season, set to premiere in 2017. The theme will be unveiled in the spring of 2017 at Paley Fest. Okay. But I also heard, did I hear that the next season is going to actually air in the spring? Did you hear that?
I don't know, but I also heard that they were supposed to do 2 concurrently.
They said that last year and it never happened.
Right.
Wait, concurrently?
Like they're supposed to have 2 overlapping each other. But that's
like on Tuesday night you'll watch this, and on Wednesday you'll watch another one, a different series?
Possibly. I don't know.
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, as much as I like it, I think that's tough. I think they'd be better off having a series and have it end, wait a month, start a second series.
Sure. Go second.
Yeah, I mean that would work for me. So 2017, it doesn't have an air date at all for this next one.
They probably don't know. They probably haven't.
Oh, no, it says September 20. According to IMDb, the first episode of 7 is supposed to air in September of 2017. Yep. Now, is that accurate? No, because we have gotten suckered in by IMDb how many times?
Right.
Well, we were speculating all the different actors we thought were going to be in it, and yeah, none of it happened.
No. They didn't bring Chickless back, so I'm under protest.
I know. How do we not bring him back? Well, you know what? Even I was watching an older one, and I was looking at some of the actors, and I was like, wow, how have they not brought some of these people back yet?
Yeah.
It's like been one and done. They have their core people, but some of them you go, I mean, they're all great, but right. I wonder how they pick and choose. And if at some point, like, who knew we were going to see Taissa Farmiga again?
Oh, yeah. Or Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, I mean, well, he was in this one.
Right.
Are we going to see him again?
Sure.
And
yeah, because she was in. Yeah, I mean, I think they do a good job bringing some of these people in. I mean, I think a lot of actors who would not want to act with this group. Come on.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
Dennis O'Hare, you get Kathy Bates, Angela Bassett. I mean,
yeah,
Peters is great. Sarah Paulson's great. It's just one great person after another. Why wouldn't you want to act in that if you could?
Chloe Savini was not back. She's another one that has to come back.
Yes.
And then Lady Gaga, we never got a good shot of her.
No, but she was back. I mean,
that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
That was awesome. What a great choice.
She's on tour, so she's not filming stuff.
She's not going to be like filming all this stuff.
Yeah, she's making real money, so she's not messing around with this TV stuff. So.
We do need more Evan Peters next time.
Yes.
He was a good time. And if you're going to bring one character back from this season, this season, make it Cricket.
Oh yeah,
I need that guy again. I need him to be a main character.
Yes.
Let's follow, but it doesn't have to be Cricket. Obviously, he's dead. Let's make it that guy playing some type of main character. I think that would be a really great choice because he was fantastic. He was fun to watch. If he's the ringleader of whatever, and you have Sarah Paulson and Lily Reb and everybody around him, I think that would be really interesting. I do. Dennis O'Hare kind of had his shining one last season.
Sure.
Each of them have kind of had a shining.
Oh yeah. Well, Sarah Paulson's had like 3 shinings. I mean, she's 3 characters in this.
Yeah,
show.
I know.
3.
I know.
I mean, it's like she was 2 characters in 2 ago. So, when she was the Siamese twins, which is great. I
wonder if they'll get Zachary Kiddo back. He'd be great.
Yeah, he would be great. He's quirky enough where he could do it, or one of the McDermott, Mulrooney.
Yeah.
One of them back in. So.
Yeah, well, I guess only time will tell.
I think it depends on, it's got to, because of the subject matter, you would think that some people want to shy away.
Right.
Because it does kind of push it, and, some of these guys just don't care.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think the people they've had on here, I don't think they're shying away. Now, maybe first season because they didn't know what this was.
Right.
But anybody in the later seasons, like Chickless, totally knows what he got himself into.
Come on, look at the roles he's had. He doesn't care. He'll do whatever. I mean, from the commish, come on.
He'll do whatever, and the Shield.
Yeah. Yeah, the Shield.
He'll do whatever, and he'll do it 1,000%. Is that a percent?
Yeah. How about Kathy Bates in Bad Santa 2? She's more despicable than anything she's ever done. And it's like, she doesn't care. She's like, I'm Kathy Bates. I don't care.
She's so amazing.
Yeah.
We need all of them back. You know what? They need to have a cast. They do need a second series at the same time so we can get every character back in that we need. But please, Cricket, that guy is your main, or at least one of the mains for one of these. Yes.
Or I'd like to see some of the,
or do a flashback and give us a whole Cricket storyline in the 70s.
Oh, go back to Coven and give us a Cricket.
Give us a Cricket. Yes.
Give us a Cricket. Have Cricket phone sponsor it. It'd be awesome. I mean,
Cricket phones. Yep.
Now try this phone. It's great.
Someday they're going to start Uber. Anybody know what that is? I see it coming. That would be really funny if he made a comment like that. Well, can't you predict the future? I can. Coke Zero and Uber coming. What are those things?
With no calories.
It's going to happen.
That might be one of your better.
If they deign it to happen. One of my better impressions, that said.
Yes.
All right, are we done?
I think so.
Season 10. It's a wrap.
Season 10, yes.
Yeah.
Season 10, hey, we're fast forwarding. So, and just, you and I talked about it, and hopefully Rob and I have talked about it. I think we're going to go back and start doing, while we're off, when the show is off, we're going to revisit series 1 at least.
Yeah.
Right. So we're gonna put up some new content where we're gonna go back and look at series 1 and the greatness of Murder House. And
well, Jeff and Scott never did the first 2 seasons.
Okay.
So I think those are prime. But for this off season, let's shoot for Murder House. I think that sounds great.
Right. The one thing I'm a little concerned, I'm looking at some of the ratings, and the ratings weren't that great this year. They were okay.
Yeah, but they're already renewed for next season. So
right. They're okay. I mean, they're better. The bad thing is they're better than Hotel, and I thought Hotel was the best show of them all, the best season.
Yeah.
And Hotel's numbers were awful.
Well, if they keep winning Emmys and getting nominated, they're going to keep this show around for a while. It doesn't, they're putting it on FX. It doesn't cost them a ton to keep it going.
Right.
It's only 13 episodes, so I'm sure even low ratings, it's pulling ratings out of nowhere that they never would have gotten.
Right.
Unless they decide Seinfeld's going to pull more ratings and reruns, they're going to keep it going.
Yeah, it's a good show, and I think they can. Like this season was 10 episodes, so
yeah,
you're and plus you're getting some great minds between those guys. So,
but I do think you bring up a good point. If the ratings are lower, the chances of getting a second season within a year, I think, are slim, and that might be why they were talking about it. But it seems like it's stalled there.
Well, I'm looking. Coven and Freak Show are by far the better.
Okay.
The better, series, but like Coven was on October through January when there isn't a lot of new shows. You know what I mean? Like a lot of shows are taking hiatus.
Sure.
Where Freak Show was kind of the same. They started October 8th and went through the end of January. Where Hotel did the same thing, but Hotel just didn't get it, and I don't know why. Because I thought, like I said, I think it was good. But then this one was obviously a month earlier when it was going up against a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's hard when you go up against Walking Dead. I mean, Walking Dead's huge. Westworld is another. They're both great shows.
That's huge too. Well, but that one doesn't come back until 2018, so they got some time.
Yeah. Well, no, and I think they can do it. I mean, obviously, if they can come up with a good story, I think overall, looking back at the whole season, the first half was fantastic. I thought.
Yeah.
1 through 5 were great. 6 through 9 were pretty good, although I wasn't as huge of a fan of the twist probably as you were. I thought it was good that they brought everybody back. And then, 10 was a decent finale. 9 would have been a great finale. If they would have stopped at 9,
9 should have been the finale or done something more like I talked about where it's really breaking form.
Right. Well, it would have been great if they would have said this is all a ruse.
That would have been
even better.
That would have worked, or break form and don't resolve some of those stories.
Sure.
Because I didn't need those to be resolved.
Right. They could have just left the butcher there killing people for like the next 100 years, and you'd be like, okay, let's not go to North Carolina or whatever for the rest of our lives. So we'll be okay with that. But I think they tried. I think they had to address the issue with Flora one way or the other.
Yeah, I think they did too.
Whether Flora just went bat crazy and was killing people, or she did what she did, and that's fine. Now she has some redemption where she can go forward and then be messed up when she's an adult. So maybe that's another story for the future.
Yeah. All right. We're done. That doesn't mean that you don't keep following us. We're on Twitter. It says it right on the screen there, @DisturbedPod. Follow us. We're actually gaining a lot of followers there. We also have a Facebook page. You can follow us there. And we'll continue to post things. And if there's news, we'll put it on there. If you want to get in discussion, do it. We love that. And if you tweet to us, write to us, if we get enough conversation going, we may come back and do some listener conversation things. Or I really did want to do a roundtable, but we didn't get any takers on it yet. So if you loved it, you want to do a roundtable, hit us up. Chris, why don't you give your social media?
Absolutely. I can be found at theblueboxcafe.com or Blue Box Cafe or Blue Box Cafe 176 on social media.
Excellent. You can find me at R. Southgate. Find the show at Disturbed Pod, or if you just want to find out about the different podcasts that Southgate Media Group puts out, which is a lot, you can follow the company on Twitter at SMG Pods. We also have a website, southgatemediagroup.com, and we have a Facebook page, and we have Instagram, and we have everything. So definitely check our stuff out. One other thing, man. We would love it if you rated and reviewed us. It really helps. Even just going in and clicking on the stars, that helps. But if you want to write a review, that really helps. That helps other people find this show. And that's also true of YouTube. By next season, this show will have its own YouTube channel. Right now, it's on the Southgate Media Group channel, but it is going to have its own. And every single episode we've done is going to be on there. And other stuff, we'll call it.
Yes, other stuff.
More
content. I mean, we're experimenting with it. So I even actually trying to set my own stuff up, which is kind of scary. So,
so that's it. Get on our email list too. We have some things. We haven't talked about this on here. We actually have some deals with TeePublic and with Entertainment Earth, where we're going to have lots of T-shirts, mugs, stuff like that. Not just that say Disturbed, but things that you as a listener, as a fan of American Horror Story, are going to be interested in. And Entertainment Earth, they have toys. They have all sorts of really cool, geeky stuff. They're starting to do contests with us across the different shows. We're doing one starting in a week or so for Supernatural. You need to sign up for the email list. You need to follow us on Twitter. You need to retweet it. That's how you get entries to win those products. Start out by signing up for some of those, and we'll at least get you so you're aware when those contests happen.
Absolutely, and we talk about other shows that we watch. Obviously, you don't like just one show; you like other shows. There's a lot of shows on the Southgate Media Group network that we do podcasts about that you would like and enjoy. So check that out, please.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Until next time, I'm burning this house down.